Hey folks, I'm Rupali, your host, and welcome back to Crime Hack. When Sandy was captured last time, he realized that the gang leader is hell bent on killing him and his brother. However, he manages to escape and also warns Raj to stay away. He also finds out that the gang is using a cave somewhere, possibly as a hideout, and also that they are clearing debris in the tunnels to make an escape route. The boys realize they are in danger and ask friends to help. The next day, while Sandy stays home to rest, Raj goes to lay a trap for a new suspect who is right there in their college. The trap doesn't seem to work though, but then Raj is kidnapped and taken to the cave. Sandy, being restless at home, follows the lead of men mounting security cameras in the city at night. He tails one of the men to a jewellery shop and realizes that their attackers and the security cameramen are a part of the same gang. He immediately calls Raj to tell him what he found, but the gang leader picks up the call and Sandy realizes that Raj has been captured. The gang leader forces him to talk to his father about misleading a task force on a case that the police are working on. His father, ACP Nayak, tells him that the task force is working on the temple theft case, but with the current evidence, the goons can't be held for long. They need more, but Raj may not have enough time left to live. And now, Nayak Brothers and the Mystery of the Catacombish Tunnels by Rupali Rajapathe Roti, Part 48. After a while, Mr. Nayak spoke up. I will have plain-clothed men keep an eye on these bastards. They'll follow these men everywhere they go. Let's hope one of them leads us to Rajesh in time. Sandy spoke dreamily. I'll keep a watch on the trek route. The cave must be there somewhere. What? His father looked surprised. You just told me that you didn't know where that cave was. Sandy was bowled over. He thought for a while, then said, Don't know, just this inner voice told me, I guess. The boy's grandmother had always told them to trust their instincts and to listen to the inner voices. She used to say that they were always right and led one to the right path. Little did he remember hearing this from the horse's mouth when Teja was attempting to kill him in the underground tunnel. Mr. Nayak suddenly lit up. Of course! You remember this guy was lugging supplies up on that trek route? So it's very much possible that the cave is there somewhere. Oh yes! Sandy also brightened. But the very next moment, his spirits sank again. Dad, but it's such a vast expanse of hills and mountains. How would we ever find the exact location of that cave? And that too in time. But his father hadn't lost hope. Come on, your idea of keeping a watch on that route isn't bad enough. I'm sure we will find something there. If Rajesh is held captive in the cave and if the gang members were there with him when you called, then they will surely return to the city sometime soon. Ah, yes. Sandy smacked himself on the head. Then hugging his father, he got up, all charged. Come on, let's go, he urged, pulling his father's hand. Wait, just for one moment. His father immediately placed multiple calls to his office while Sandy waited impatiently. Come on, Dad, we don't have time for all this, Sandy urged, anxious and excited. Do you know the exact spot where Rajesh saw the man that day? Sandy became blank. Let me call my friends who were there with him that day. He borrowed his father's mobile and dialed Dev's number. He explained the situation to him and asked him to gather all the friends for help and meet him by the edge of the jungle. Soon the reinforcements arrived and Sandy showed them the house and the jewellery shop. He also pointed out the men who he knew belonged to the gang. Then, jumping into his father's car, he urged his father to hurry up and they started for the Katraj-Sinagar trek route. Sandy checked the time. It was already 9 p.m. Mom will be getting worried by now, he said, and his father nodded back. He called the home number and Mrs. Nayak picked up the call. Hello, it's me. His father spoke up. Oh, thank God you called. The kids aren't home yet. I'm worried. Mrs. Nayak started to speak. I know. Sandeep's with me right now, and Rajesh, he's gone missing. Missing? Mrs. Nayak cried loudly. Don't panic, we are all onto him right now. You don't worry and don't wait up for us. I'm sure by morning we will have something to go by. Oh God, have mercy. Okay, now I have to rush. See you in the morning. Saying so, Mr. Nayak disconnected the call. Looking at Sandy, he asked, Have you eaten anything? Sandy was already biting his nails and wishing the car would go faster. Shaking his head distractedly, he replied, Not hungry. His father asked the constable driving the car to stop, and Sandy realized that they were stopping to eat. He protested, Dad, we are wasting time. Please, let's just go. We will need our energy, son. Saying so, his father hopped off and went into the restaurant. However, he grabbed a quick parcel and raced back to the car. They then continued their journey towards the jungle at a fast pace. Little did they know that a surprise was waiting for them already. When they reached the spot, they were baffled to see a big crowd gathered by the edge of the forest. They got out of the car and approached the crowd to investigate. As they neared, Mr. Nayak recognized a handful of plain-clothed policemen on one side. The policeman gave a crisp salute as he approached. But on the other side were almost 100 college-aged boys, all looking up at them expectantly. Sandy eyed the gathering, completely baffled, when he spotted Dave beaming up at him. What's happening here? Sandy inquired confidentially. Well, you needed friends, didn't you? Sandy was even more confused now. So Dave explained. I called my friends and they called their friends. So here we all are to help you find Raj. What? All these guys have come for me? Sandy's eyes suddenly brimmed with tears and he couldn't say anything at first. The guys who saw gathered around him. When he found his voice again, he said, I don't know what to say. I am. He couldn't finish his sentence. Keeping a hand on Sandy's shoulder, Dave said, Now shut up. Nobody's come for you or even Raj. We have come for ourselves because we need our friend. Growing serious as he remembered Raj's kidnapping, he added, They took him away from right in front of my eyes and I couldn't do anything. He's mine and I want him back. Then a sheepish smile cracked his face and he said, But I got to admit that most of these guys have no idea what they are supposed to do here. We just spread the word that help was needed for a friend, and that's it. Sandy apprised his father of the situation, who took charge immediately. Standing on the hood of his car, he gathered all the people around him. First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming to help, he said. But I need to inform you that this task is very dangerous. It's a life and death situation for a boy we are searching for. So please listen to the instructions very carefully and follow them without deviation of any kind. Anybody who would like to back out, now is the time. And it is perfectly fine with us. He looked at the crowd and nobody made a move, so he continued. Now, first things first. How many of you know the restaurant down this road? Half the hands went up and Mr. Nayak continued. I need you all to be completely mum tonight and park your vehicles behind the restaurant. Then come back for the next instructions. All the vehicles, including the police vans, were parked as instructed and the crowd came back. Mr. Nayak continued. Now, please pair up in groups of 4 and form a line. Each group should have at least one mobile and all phones must be on silent, please. Remember, no talking. The crowd followed the instructions and Mr. Nayak numbered the groups sequentially. Then he continued. We fan out in a semicircle to find a cave where this boy Rajesh or Raj is being held captive. He is wearing a white shirt and light blue jeans. Now look at the people in the groups on both your sides and remember their faces. During the search, if you see a stranger, you hide. If they are the crooks, they would probably be coming from the opposite direction. It is of utmost importance that none of us get caught, or the boy will die. He paused to let this sink in and then continued. If and when you find the cave, instead of exploring it yourself, you SMS me with your group number and any other details you wish to give me. He then gave his number to all of them who saved it in their mobiles. He continued, never jump the line. Fan out in a sequence so that if anyone calls me, it will be easier for me to locate the group in the wilderness. Also, if you have any lights like batteries, flashlights, mobile lights, anything at all, direct them downwards. As it is today is full moon night, so I would suggest you not to use any lights unless it's absolutely necessary. It may give you away. One boy raised his hand and asked, Sir, what if one of us does get discovered by the crooks? Mr. Nayak thought and then replied, You act as if you were a trekking party and you have lost your way. You may as well ask them the directions to Sinhagad. They shouldn't know what we are up to. Once they are out of earshot, you send me a message and the police will keep an eye on them thereafter. You may then proceed further in your search for the cave. Then looking at the crowd, Mr. Nayak asked, Are the instructions all clear? I understand those are a lot of instructions, but let me summarize them for you. First, are all the mobiles on silent? Everybody fiddled with their mobiles for a while and then all of them nodded. Mr. Nayak then raised one finger and continued, No talking and no lights. Then raising the second finger, he said, Don't jump the line. Raising his third finger, he said, Hide if someone other than us comes your way from the opposite direction. Raising the fourth finger, he said, Find a cave. And then a fifth finger, Message me when you do. He then added matter-of-factly, An exception. If you get caught, don't let them know what we are up to. Everyone nodded and the search party fanned out in sequence, creating a semicircle. There were 30 groups of 4 each. Mr. Nayak was in the 15th group, while Sandy was in the 22nd group. So friends, how do you like the story so far? We are soon coming up with Hindi and Marathi subtitles too. We have begun with episode 1 and slowly we are moving forward, so please be patient with us. I know I'm also slow in publishing other videos too. Sorry about that. What can I say? I'm feeling a bit shy to come on camera. And I'm also learning video editing skills so I could bring out a variety of content to you. That's why any help on Patreon will be highly appreciated. I hope you are enjoying this story so far. Forget about my narration skills, I'm new at that too. But don't worry, I will soon become the Amitabh Bachchan of story narration. Till then, please bear with me. We are also connecting with various experts to bring them onto our channel so our lovely audience could learn about real life threats and learn how to keep themselves safe. If you are an expert on crime, psychology, life skills, threat identification and containment, an NGO working for either criminals or victims, or if you yourself were victimized and learned and grew through the experience, then please connect with us. Until next time, keep safe, save others, raise others out of darkness. Namaskar.